Hello and good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone on this lovely Thursday morning for attending first of YASH's HCM Live webinar series. Our topic for today's webinar is SuccessFactors Compensation Management. Joining me today for this webinar is my colleague, Mr. Sudhanva Agawekar. He is SuccessFactors compensation expert, and he will be demonstrating the SuccessFactors compensation tool and flash some of the glimpses of the tool. On the note of introduction, quickly, my name is Karen Fujiwara. I've been in SAP HCM space for about 15 years, doing different things in consulting, including solution development, deployment in both SAP on-premise and SuccessFactors, in cloud deployments, practice development, and so on. So for past few years in particular, at YASH, I've been engaged with managing deployments of SuccessFactors products that include compensation solution as well for several of our clients. Sudhanva, would you please give a brief introduction?
Hello, good morning all. My name is Sudhanva Agawekar and I'm SAP HCM consultant with YASH Technologies. I'll be taking you over with the SuccessFactors compensation system and showing you some of the features and functions within the compensation management system. Back to you, Kiran.
Thank you very much. So before we get started this morning, why don't we go ahead and take a look at agenda for today's webinar. To begin with, I'll be providing overview of YASH as an organization and some of our HCM practice capabilities on very high level. I'll spend some time and ground everyone on SuccessFactors as an end-to-end solution, of course, with more of a focus on compensation solution. Then I'll go ahead and pass the demonstration rights to Sudhanva, who will take us through the comp live demo and show us some of the features and functionalities of the solution itself. Once we finish the live demo, we will wrap up at the end and open the floor and we'll take any questions. So on the agenda of the questions, please post your questions in the questions tab box, which our panelists will keep tabs on, and Sudhanva and I will try to respond to as many questions as we can, of course, depending on how much time we'll have towards the end of the webinar. And when we are done with the questions, I will go ahead and display our contact information in the event you would like to get in touch for any further conversations and discussions around solution or the organization itself. All right, so in terms of YASH, next slide, please. YASH was founded in 1996. Since then, our overall capabilities have matured and expanded, whether it's regionally or globally. We have about 27 offices worldwide in various subcontinents. And not too long ago, we had internally recorded about 3,500 employees, which is really good growth for our size and also good growth within our SAP capabilities that continues to be our most mature practice in largest scale and in the one that really has gotten us solid industrial recognition for it. With such a rapid growth of YASH in a short time, but the core tenet, and really how I call it DNA of the organization, that really remains the same. Our domains is very reasonable and manageable, much smaller than some of our big competitors, and purposely so that we can continue to provide combination of the agile approach and customer-centric partnership approach in the area where we are helping organizations achieve the maximum business results with the most appropriate solution that we propose to each client. In terms of our growth and presence, we are established in North America, Asia Pac, Latin America, and some other regions, and we are engaged in some of our global implementations. We have regional presence in larger markets in those regions. We are selling in those regions, and we are overall providing cutting edge as far as being able to know the roadmap to implement and at the same time support those applications has been very stable for us as an organization. So from YASH, let's take a quick look at HCM practice at YASH. Next slide, please. So just give you a little bit of history of HCM practice. We have been engaged in doing HCM work for over 10 years. We have over 120 professionals doing all type of HCM work, HCM on-premise, traditionally speaking, and most recently, for last few years, supporting SuccessFactors and hybrid deployment with SAP SuccessFactors, which, as some of us might be aware, that is becoming more and more common these days. And to give you a history of SuccessFactors, a few years ago, our world twirled around, of course, on a very positive note when SAP acquired SuccessFactors. For us, it was really something very predicted phenomena, considering the marketplace demands at the time. We knew, just as well as the rest of the marketplace, that the SAP HCM product was very strong. At that point, ecosystem install base, really partners from innovative space, was very immature and very small, but ever since it has ramped up significantly. What the challenge at those times was really to bring the SaaS, a solution as a service solution, in a very nimble way that could provide not only a great user experience and solution overall, but in a very agile way. YASH has been always, ever since, in forefront, getting into the hybrid model as system integrators from the very beginning of the SAP and SuccessFactors acquisition time. So in terms of our solution, as you see laid out on my screen, that we have hire and retire and anything in between. We have onshore and offshore capabilities to address the client needs, whether it's a full HCM solution in cloud or SAP HCM or on-premise. The reality is SuccessFactors is as pure cloud and SAP is on-premise. It's going to be small percentage of customer that will certainly want to have pure one from another. So we help to relay that message for SuccessFactors and have been contributing partner in that area. And in terms of the hybrid deployment, as you see on my screen, our clients are keeping sometimes their core HCM solution in place, and then we go ahead and integrate talent in cloud as an example for them in terms of the most appropriate, suitable solution in the cloud. Talent piece, we've seen the trends of lots of optimization in back office, in financials, and including CRM. So we have seen that there is a lot of value that we can get out of them. So as you see all the solutions examples on my screen, all of these solutions are supported by an unparalleled global ecosystem. Next slide, please. So moving on from the YASH's HCM capabilities into the SuccessFactors model and opportunity on a very high level. So this is a SaaS, software as a service based SuccessFactors model and cloud opportunity for end-to-end solution for any organization. SuccessFactors heritage is in designing applications that cut across all type of users in any type of organization. So whether that is your human resources, whether that's your manager, that's your employee, or your business leaders. Now this application, this tool was built for excellence in the business execution. Talent today is really driving the business value. So SuccessFactors, let's just spend some time on just understanding on a very high level what the SuccessFactors brings to the table. SuccessFactors helps its HCM suite execute that strategy, that business execution strategy through the three main areas. The first one is align, get people working on the right thing, goals, performance, workforce planning. Then we have optimization of the solution, where you can attract and retain, really find the right people and make them great. Recruitment, compensation, learning, and succession falls into that optimization of the solution of the processes. Now acceleration, really want to make sure that you got the alignment, you got the optimization, you have people doing the right thing, you are making them look great in terms of the business processes. Now you want to develop your workforce by social learning and analytics. Analytics being able to access fulfilling reporting needs that your organizations may have, analytics dashboard your leaders may want for the accurate reporting. So as you see on the bottom, Employee Central being the core and the foundation of the entire talent suite. So this is end-to-end HCM solution that SuccessFactors brings on the table. The different process area in a feature in each of these area, and SuccessFactors suite obviously cover all of these process area with an excellent user interface, which we'll take a look shortly when Sudhanva will take us through the system for the best business results. The complete solution or modular based, this is what I call it, modular based. It has a flexibility to choose any module, anytime, anywhere. And in terms of SuccessFactors compensation management, it is a part of broader market leading talent management, BizX suite, best of breed solution, just like performance and goals as an example, which is very relevant for our customers who want to implement for pay for performance culture. Now, SuccessFactors compensation being part of the optimization block help HR and the business leaders improve business performance and execution in many ways. And some of those, for example, whether you're looking for an increased budget accuracy for your organization, which we'll see shortly how you can put some of the controls or monitor your budgets in our live demo today. And you also want to make sure that the solution, and then SuccessFactors does bring to the table, a reduction in your risk factors, compensation being the most sensitive area in terms of the processes. You want to make sure that in terms of rewarding and retaining the key employees, you have a compensation solution that will best suit your needs and as answer to some of your questions within that process area. Now, the optimization and the SuccessFactors compensation support organization on its compensation strategy, alignment, and deliver best of the business results. So now that we've looked at what the SuccessFactors model is and what it brings to the table, let's, next slide please, let's quickly talk about in terms of organizational strategy and the direction for those supreme business results that any organization desire. Think about your own total reward strategy as an example, meaning opportunity for recognition, the benefit, and the compensation, all of the components from your workforce perspective. SuccessFactors compensation solution supports the total reward strategy as it is designed to improve employee engagement that truly connect the dots all the way up to employee satisfaction. That really, again, ultimately results in performance. Point is that you have got to have a very effective and solid compensation strategy, and because it is an important part of it, just like other pieces such as career development, performance, and recognition. Truly, a right compensation strategy is part of total reward strategy. Keep one thing in mind, that each client, each company, each organization will have their own company-specific processes-driven strategy. Next slide, please. So along the lines of compensation strategy, you really need a solid solution, such as SuccessFactors compensation, automated, intuitive compensation as part of the talent management that addresses your compensation process accurately, yet simple and secure. The key for the compensation solution. SuccessFactors compensation tool addresses global organizations' scalability concern as an example. Now we're talking about global compensation plans. You want to make sure that in terms of scalability, there is a way to look at the results. You want to be able to align, reward, and advance your best talent. Now what that leads towards is that for any organization, is the improvements is the organization's business performance ultimately. You are able to retain your top talent with your right compensation strategy. And as an organization, the best benefit, one of the best benefit I would say, is the accurate budget planning for compensation. And not only that, capability to remain as global as you need to be with all the unmatched global capabilities, what SuccessFactors compensation solution brings to the table. Now, SuccessFactor solution address some of the key pain points as you at the same time staying globally compliant. Let's take a quick look at some of those. You are able to enable and engage your workforce. You are able to deliver insight to managers and executives, and you need to make sure your compensation solutions support your organization to monitor whether it's your budget spending, whether it's your eligibility guidelines in the compensation area, that those are addressed appropriately, that they have not only they are addressed appropriately, but at the same time you have auditing capabilities from a compliance perspective within the solution. After all, compensation is a sensitive area and one of the key process areas as well. Enabling the transformation of HR to impact business execution is the key for improving business performance. And SuccessFactor bring all of that with beautifully yet controlled user interface from authorizations perspective, for security perspective, to the table. And we'll take a look at it when we get into the live demo. Next slide, please. So SuccessFactor BizX Suite is the go-forward SAP solution for talent management, recruitment, compensation, learning, and social, and so on for new customers. Now, go forward just for an education purposes means that these solutions are the ones that they will focus on most of their research and development and go-to-market strategies on. It does not mean all the others are stopped or put into maintenance mode. SAP Talent Management Solution and SAP Business Suite, that will still continue to be supported with selected improvements until many, many more years to come. Next slide, please. So now we've taken a look at overall SuccessFactor product and how compensation sort of fits in. Let's take a look at what some of the feature and functionalities of SuccessFactor. So with SuccessFactor compensation tool, which I have been engaged in implementations for several of our customers. Now, I can tell you organizations benefited easy to use, access control, planning worksheets. And we'll take a look at those worksheets when we get into the live demo. That provides simplified views, not only for your individual compensation data, but also of the entire organization. Improved budgeting accuracy, reduced errors with the support of all the currencies, base pay and payroll adjustments and lump sum planning. Now, key and notable strengths of this solution is that SuccessFactor compensation management covers all of these entire processes. First of all, what you see on my screen is a basic pay, basic salary component, fixed data, merit increase, promotion, and stock options. Then it also addresses the variable pay in SuccessFactor, where you're able to manage incentive pay for individual compensated according to their goals and achievements. This component of variable pay is used in industries where companies that has a strong sales force out there and selling to customer, whether that could be direct sales or indirect sales component, that component called variable pay bring undisputable granularity on that, on how that component is addressed within the solution. Now, we have a calibration is really to ensure that the lower performers are not overpaid and higher performers are not underpaid. Performance results that can be tied to recommended to compensation adjustments, and you want to make sure that that gets reflected, those changes, into the budget. And not only want to have those changes reflected correctly, accurately into the budget, but you want to have it real time. That provides greater business value right there. It brings greater consistency across your team members for better performance view. You can visibly compare ratings and pay distribution within calibration solution of the compensation. So you can tie the goals to the employee. Compensation calibration ties to performance management in a manner no other tool has in marketplace today. For today's webinar purposes, we will not be going into the calibration, but we'll definitely take a look at some of the base pay components, some of the worksheets and analytics. Now, analytics provides real-time dashboard for instant insight, a key to any organization, and visibility into the impacted compensation changes and the adjustments that were applied, because you want to always have current view of compensation plan and total reward statements that clearly communicates the compensation benefits of the employee to the employee. Plus, managers also benefiting from hierarchy-based approvals coming out of the organization tree navigation and the organization budget roll-up. So just looking at in totality, you want to make sure that everything is properly understood in terms of what the process is, and instead of in terms of what the end result in the comp statement is. Next slide, please. So now with the value proposition with SuccessFactor compensation. So let's step back a little bit. Unlike some of our personal productivity tools such as spreadsheets, which some of us will be very familiar with, or maybe no-name homegrown type of solutions where you simply interpreting the data in spreadsheet, you are simply massaging and manipulating the data to get the results that your business leaders want. SuccessFactor compensation streamlines and simplifies the compensation planning for the most complex compensation scenarios. Not only that, providing greater visibility and insight for total compensation and help establish a culture that rewards performance of your workforce. Now, in real world, most of the time, our customers are still engaged in insecure and error-prone compensation planning. Perhaps you are working in vacuum when it comes it comes in terms of the compensation planning. Maybe it's based on no facts correlation to employee performance or inside your employee's total reward. Don't you want your compensation programs to help you and your organization increase your revenue by keeping your highest performing employees? So just want to throw an example there. When we walk in our client meetings, it has happened, and start scoping them for their compensation needs. Another interesting thing that we found that the most often the employee engagement is usually disjointed. Now you would say, what does that mean? Managers in countries were contacted by human resources of those countries for whatever the salary increase of their people. It felt incomplete. Now managers experience, very key to user adoption, becomes prime. There's no control over budget, and there's no cohesive way to look at your peer analysis across the organization. Not to mention the data security issues, as you're constantly shipping those spreadsheets across the globe, or perhaps due to lack of the tools in those countries, or they have homegrown tools. That really does not truly address any of their pain point around such a compensation related sensitive process. So I'd like to share one of the experience I had recently where we deployed the global compensation solution in SuccessFactor. And when we finished our deployment, we went out in the field and asked managers for the feedback on the solution. The feedback came, one of the key was these are the managers who were hands-on the SuccessFactor compensation tool. Some of the key highlights were, well, worldwide salary planning in one tool. Now that's powerful. Managers are distributing their budgets by countries. HR managers truly need access to 360-degree access to the employee data notion of real time. You cannot and don't want to wait for data refresh overnight. Usually is concern of some, and in fact most of the companies, right? Higher level managers able to look at the broader budget, not only by their plans, but by countries. So typical from employee engagement perspective on compensation statement, let's talk about that. Think about actual handling of compensation statement. Companies really communicate performance and how that performance affect their compensation. This statement provides on how much companies are investing in them. Managers will sit down with the employees and review those statements and explain what the lump sum and what other components of that statement is. So we'll take a look in our demo today on a generic compensation statement in just a few moments. So just to, before I hand it off to Sudhanva, streamline processes and getting visibility on what your costs are. Once upon a time, it was impossible, but today it is on your fingertips. Now, being quite mouthful there, from here I would pass on the show and tell rights to Mr. Sudhanva. Sudhanva, please go ahead and take away and let us see some of the tool functionality. Sudhanva?
Thanks for joining me today for the SuccessFactors compensation webinar. Thank you so much, Kiran, for the insightfulness and overview of SuccessFactors and compensation in general. So let me start with a quick compensation process overview, and I will not spend no more than a minute or two before we get into the live demo. So on compensation planning process, there are 4 stages: system administration, launching forms, recommendations, and completed forms. Now, in system administration stage, the admin is generally responsible for configuring the compensation plan and all the elements of the compensation plan templates. And these includes setting up the budgets, the eligibility criteria, the route maps, the conversion tables, the guidelines. So after all these elements are set up in the system, the admins go into the system and launch the forms. Now, launching forms essentially means launching the worksheets for individual managers or group of managers. So after the worksheets are launched, the managers can go into their own system and provide recommendations to their direct reports. Now, after the recommendations are entered, the recommendations are received and the form is passed to the route map, and the form then goes to the completed stage. And this is the last stage in the compensation process. So after the forms are passed to the completed step, we can say the compensation process for that particular manager is completed, and the managers or the admin can go into the system and generate the compensation statements. So this was an overview of the compensation process. So let's go into the system now by logging into by the user credentials provided by SuccessFactors. Now, as Kiran said, SuccessFactors is a SaaS-based global solution that fits for any organization's business needs and their business execution strategies. And this tool can be used by almost all of the HRs, managers, employees, business leaders. So after entering the user credentials, we land on this page, and this is my home page. So from this very page, I can launch various transactions as well. So let me quickly orient you with what you're seeing on this page. Here I'm logged in as the HR admin of my organization, and you can see there are various different links or tiles. These tiles can be rearranged or designed according to the user's choice. Sometimes can be deleted or some extra tiles can be added. Now these tiles show relevant information with respect to my tools, my org chart, my goals, my favorites. These tiles are actually used for faster navigations or faster access to the frequently used links for the use. On the top left corner, we can see a few different tabs. These tabs are nothing but the sub-modules which have been included in the system. So here we can see there are some modules such as goals, performances, compensation. There are tabs related to the employee information, reporting, and analytics, and the admin tools. Now, as I am the HR admin of my company or my organization, I am responsible for the entire compensation planning process. Now, in order to launch the compensation plan, I need to have a compensation plan set up in the system. So let's go ahead and check how do we set up a compensation plan. So let's go into admin tools. So this is the window where we can set up or configure all the sub-modules. This is where everything related to setup and configuration is added, the plan gets added on this left bar. In order to set up all the elements of this compensation plan, we need to go inside the plan. So let's go into this plan. So here we can see there are three tabs: plan setup, manage worksheets, and complete compensation cycle. So under plan setup, we can set up everything related to this compensation plan: the currency, the route map, the currency conversion table, the salary pay matrix. The compensation fields, such as all the employee fields, can be added under this design worksheet tab. Under the plan details, we can set up the budget, the eligibility and guidelines, and after everything is configured and set up for this compensation plan, we can say the compensation plan is ready to be launched. Now, on the left side bar, we can see there are multiple plans. So these plans may be prior plans or plans which have been launched in the previous cycle. So typically a plan consists of three worksheets: salary, bonus, and stock. Now compensation SuccessFactors allows to configure three different plans for these three individual worksheets, or for that matter, these three individual worksheets can be combined into one single plan. For this webinar purpose, I have actually combined all these three worksheets: salary, bonus, and stock into one single plan, and the plan is called as standard form demo. So let's go ahead and launch this form. In order to launch this form, we need to go under manage worksheets. Under manage worksheets, we need to go under create worksheets. Now, creating worksheets, as I have said initially, that creating worksheets essentially means launching the worksheets or generating the worksheets for a particular manager or group of managers. So we need to fill in all these details here: the worksheet name, the start date, the end date, the due date. Now, the point employee here actually suggests to select the manager. So let's go ahead and select the manager here. For the webinar purpose, I'm selecting Alan Thompson, who is the president of the software division. Now, after the manager is selected, there's a link here for create worksheets for head of the planning. Now, if this link is checked, the worksheets are generated for all the direct reports under this manager. If the link is left unchecked, the worksheets are generated for all the direct reports and the direct reports of this particular manager. So for this webinar purpose, I'm actually going to check this link and launch this plan. Now, after launching this plan, SuccessFactors, through the role-based permissions, allows admins to actually go into the manager system and check whether the plan is launched properly or not. So this process is called as proxying. So let's go ahead and proxy Alan Thompson. So after proxying Alan Thompson, we land on his home page. So here we can see Alan Thompson's home page, and there are as the admin's home page, there are few tiles with respect to his to-dos, his org chart, his team, his goals, and his information. Now, in order to check whether the worksheets are generated properly, let's go under compensation tab. So here, under the compensation tab, we can see the various different worksheets which have been launched previously or in the previous cycle. So in order to go inside a worksheet, let's select the worksheet which we have launched. So this is how a worksheet for this particular manager looks like. So on this worksheet, on the left side, we can see that there are three tabs: salary, bonus, and stock. So as I have said earlier, in this plan, I have combined these three worksheets for salary, bonus, and stock into one single plan. Here we can see budgets. So budget section shows compensation field budget, both allotted and used for that particular manager. In this case, the budget is allotted for the salary or the merit. Here you can see the UCalc matrix. This provides a visual representation of the recommendations which have been entered by this manager. Route maps. Now, route map based wherein the manager plans for direct reports and passes the plan to his manager for approval. After the approval, the sheet is then passed to the HR admin, and this process goes along to the route map, and the forms are then passed to the completed step. On the right side, we can see there are three currency views: the functional currency, the planner currency, and the employee local currency. Now, the functional currency enables the manager to plan in the functional currency of the employee, which is right now USD. The planner currency enables the manager to plan in the planner currency, which is right now USD, but it can be set up into either USD, pound, euros, anything. The employee local currency. The employee local currency enables the manager to plan in the local currency of the individual employee. Now, if we click on the employee local currency, we can see the changes in the values underneath this form. So here we can see after clicking on the employee local currency, the values have changed into the individual currencies of the employee. So here we can see the values into USD, Euro. Yes. So let's roll back to functional currency view. The display fields. Here, by checking and unchecking these fields, we can update some of these fields underneath the form. Some fields, if they are not required, can be left unchecked here. So now, in the employee information section, we can see the direct reports. So these are the direct reports of Alan Thompson, and after going into this particular link, we can see the employee details of that particular employee. On the planning section here, we can see fields related to the employee-specific fields or compensation-specific fields. Here, this column is review rating, which is nothing but the performance rating of those particular employees. So these ratings are imported through the performance and goals submodules, or they can, if the submodule is not implemented or included in the system, it can be imported through Excel files. On the right side, we can see compensation-specific fields. For this webinar purpose, I have included merit, lump sum, and adjustment. Now, these fields have guidelines attached to it. Managers need to provide the recommendations by following the guidelines. Now, if in some cases, if the recommendation is below or above the guideline, warning messages or pop-up windows are shown to the manager so that the manager can provide explanation for his recommendation. So let's go and see this example. Please look closely to the budget section also. So now if I enter here 3%, we can see updated budget here, and there is a pop-up window saying that the entry of 3% is above the maximum specified guideline. Now, the manager needs to provide an explanation for this recommendation by going into the comment section here and typing in the explanation. Now, once the explanation is given, this recommendation is accepted by the system. Now, once all the recommendations for the salary sheet are provided by the manager can go into the notes section here, and he can type in special comments for a particular employee. So this was all about the salary sheet. The managers can save the recommendations on the sheet, and then the sheet can be passed along to the next step in the route map. So let's go ahead into the bonus sheet now. So in the bonus sheet, as the salary sheet, managers can provide recommendations by following the guidelines or performance ratings or the attainment factor. Now, this attainment factor is dependent on the objectives of the employee. In this tab, the bonus recommendations are calculated by default in the system, and the manager does not have the permission or authority to enter the recommendation. But this functionality can be configured accordingly with the client's requirements, and managers can be given permission to enter their own recommendations. Years employees can be made ineligible the entire bonus plan. Here you can see Sharon Wilson has been entirely graded out for this bonus plan. And this can be handled through the system itself or through the user-defined file or the Excel file. So if the managers have the permission to enter the recommendations can be entered and saved, and special comments can be provided for individual employees by going under the notes section. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stock sheet. So, like the bonus sheet, stock sheet also managers can enter stock recommendations according to the performance ratings of that particular employee. This can also be based on the job role of the employee. Here also, the recommendations or the option recommendations are calculated by default in the system, and manager doesn't have the authority. But as said, this configuration can be changed according to the client requirements, and managers can be given the authority to enter the recommendations. So after the recommendations are entered, these recommendations can be saved if there are special comments. The comments can be added into the notes section. So after all the recommendations for all these sheets, salary, bonus, and stock have been entered, we can say the compensation planning for this particular manager for this particular step is completed, and the form can be passed on to the next step. So this entire process comes generally as a manager planning stage, where the manager plans for a big report, and after this step is completed, the form is passed to the next step, and the process is followed until the completed step in the roadmap. So after the form is passed to the completed step, we can say the compensation planning process for the direct reports of this employee, for the direct reports of this particular manager has been completed. So after the compensation plan is completed, the admins or the managers can go into the reporting tab and pull out the reports if they want. So here we can see the dynamic dashboards. If you want to go, if the managers want to go into reporting, let's go into analytics, and there are some standard reports which are built into the system. The managers or the admins can go into the reporting tab and pull out standard reports and run them here. If suppose the admins or managers want to create their own reports, they can be created under the ad hoc reports window. So to conclude this demo, I would like to show you a sample compensation statement. So here we can see a personal compensation statement for an employee, Marla Gibbs. So as we look closely here, we can see there are three elements in this compensation statement. The SuccessFactors logo here, the verbiage, and the fields. Now all these three elements are configurable. The SuccessFactors logo can be changed to the company logo. The verbiage can be changed according to the company requirements, and the fields. Here also, employee-specific fields and compensation-specific fields can be added according to the company requirements. So this was all about the compensation system. Let me pass over to Kiran.
Thank you very much, Sudhanva. Wonderful. Showing some of the compensation features. So for today's webinar, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We've talked about this morning what is SuccessFactors end-to-end solution and how SuccessFactors compensation tool fit in towards business execution strategy for any organization. Sudhanva has shown how simple and how secure and accurate a compensation process can be if you have the right solution in place for your organizations. Very briefly, we touched upon on the significance of the calibrations plays into performance to make sure from the compensation and from the employee engagement and for employee retention perspective. Now, organizations get greater visibility and insight into total compensation analysis on their fingertips with this tool, getting the data real time. And as an example, we just looked at the compensation statement and how the statement constitutes several components, whether it's salary, bonus, stock, what constitute final salary within the solution that it brings. You also saw significance of the currency view within the tool for and more relevant for the global organizations. It addresses that. Now, Sudhanva was showing the system, and there were some flags that he showed that how you can actually control and monitor your budget usage. And not only that you're able to monitor your budget usage and you can put some controls around that, you're able to analyze and you're able to audit with the greater reporting capabilities, which we very briefly touched upon, but the solution has excellent global level auditing capabilities. Truly a great solution that ensure that you're able to address complex global compensation needs, making sure at the same time regional compensation needs are addressed as well, regardless of what level of complexity they may have. And at the same time, you want to make sure that the risks are minimized from the solution. And that solution, what solution does it? It addresses all of those pain points of a lot of organizations today when it comes to the compensation processes and the solutions. So we are at 11:40.